צהריים טובים, שלום לכולם, LA Greek Hebrew Radio, ואנחנו בשידור חי עם האורחת המיוחדת שלנו. אנחנו נעשה תרגום באנגלית, כיוון שהאורחת שלנו סרה חנה סילברשטיין.
בעברית זה סילברשטיין, באנגלית סילברסטיין.
Silverstein.
Silverstein.
Yes, so in order for her to understand me, we are going to have this program in English, and I'm so happy about it. Hello and good afternoon. I'm happy to have you here together with Talia. You're an aromatherapy healer.
Master herbalist.
Master herbalist.
Oh, wow, it sounds so
Like
So
professional,
master.
right?
Yes, exactly. Hello to you.
It just means that I have a lot of education in botanical medicine. Botanical medicine includes herbs, roots, flowers, barks. And it's another way to treat people with avoiding a lot of the side effects that pharmaceutical medicines have. Yes.
All kind of friends.
Correct.
Sounds great.
And I'm known as New York's moody expert. So women, men, children come to me when they feel a little emotionally imbalanced or sometimes a little unhinged. And there's herbs that women have used for thousands of years when you're going through stresses of life. And life is a little stressful.
It is.
In case you guys didn't notice,
No,
just a little stressful.
Yeah, it is. So you have the healthy way of dealing with these obstacles on the way.
I have tools that I teach people so they feel more in control of life's challenges, because we can't really control what happens to us, even though I personally try really hard. So when life throws us a loop, the question is, how do we not feel overwhelmed with grief or overwhelmed with sadness or overwhelmed with,
how we
challenges? How we react, yeah.
So let's start from the beginning.
Okay, sure.
So let's start with asking Sara Hannah, please tell us about yourself.
So I'm Sara Hannah Silverstein. I spend my summers in Los Angeles for the past 30 years, and I live in the winters in New York. I know I really have to switch it. Like, what happened? I know.
Yeah.
When I married my husband and he said he lived in New York, I was like, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, really? People live in New York? You come to New York to see a Broadway show or go out to eat?
Home.
Yeah. So I'm kind of switched, but I'm a real LA girl. I was raised here originally. I became a lactation consultant, which means that I help women with breastfeeding problems. I studied midwifery and became a doula. And what I found when I was treating postpartum women was that what I learned in Western allopathic medicine was a lot of antibiotics and steroids and antidepressants. And I was like, hey, giving birth is not new. Having kids is not new. There must be ways that we handled it before pharmaceutical companies. So I went back to school and I did a 5-year program as a classical homeopath. And then I did 4 more years of training in herbal medicine. And what happened was women started coming to me from New Jersey, Connecticut, far 2-3 hours away, because they wanted to learn how to treat themselves and their babies naturally. Now, one of the things I want to premise in this discussion is I'm not against conventional medicine. If God forbid you break your leg, you go get an X-ray and a cast.
Exactly.
If you have a problem in your mouth, you go to a dentist. So in my practice, I try to integrate
the
alternative with conventional medicine. And that's how you get the best medical care. Sometimes you need that antibiotic, but sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you'll need that antidepressant, and maybe you'll need it for a short period of time. But then what do you do when you don't need it? And this is how I look at life. There's people that feel like they're totally together, smile all the time. We know they're going to crack. Then there's people that have totally fallen apart and they need meds. I mean, a lot of us have been there. But then there's the rest of us. We're not quite perfect. Of course, we're not quite perfect. We're not quite falling apart.
Yeah.
What do? Western medicine has nothing to offer us, but herbs do. For instance, before your cycle, you can get a little moody, a little snappy at people. So there's an herb called motherwort that can help balance your herbs. Let's say you're totally sleep deprived and anxious. There's an herb called skullcap, which can calm your system down. So these are tools we can have before we fall apart. So that's why it's preventative medicine. Oh, we're having a bad week. We're having a bad day. We're having a good month. There's tools which we're going to talk about that you can have in your kitchen, grow in your kitchen, buy at a local health food store. So you're like, okay, I'm feeling really depressed, but I don't want to sink. What can I do? Make
so
sense?
You're talking, sure, for me a lot. So you're talking about the majority of the people that
Yes.
not all the left, all the end of the left,
Right,
all the right.
right.
And even if we don't have problems, you said let's maintain ourselves, like let's keep us, it will keep us in order not to fall, like.
Right. So let's say you're traveling with your kids, right? It's normal to be totally stressed out and
Totally.
freaked out. Normal.
Totally.
So you're packing the suitcases and you're trying to remember food. So what are you going to do? You're going to feel that agitation. You're going to get a feeling in the pit of your stomach like, is it worth the vacation? Maybe I shouldn't have gone on the vacation. Can I handle it? But if you take an herb, and we'll go over the herbs one by one, like lemon balm, it's calming and soothing. And you're like, I can handle this. And what's even better is you can give lemon balm to your kids before you get to the airport so they don't lose it, right? So when you incorporate herbal medicine, we're always like one step ahead. For instance, if I was going on, how far is Israel from here? From New York, it's a 10-hour flight.
No, it's
Yeah,
14.
14. So if you're going on a 14-hour flight, I mean, kids are going to freak out. Husbands are going to have indigestion. You're going to be a nervous wreck. You're going to get on the plane. Remember that you forgot 3 things. So there's herbs you can take that'll just calm the system down. Because
You mean while you're on your way there?
on your way there, the
Okay.
day before, when you land there, like for
So,
instance,
Chana, I'm flying on Sunday to
There-
Israel.
there you go.
It's a great timing.
You know, another thing I have is a lot of my clients' kids would get ear infections from the flight, and they'd
Wow.
get to Israel, and all they do is spend time in a pediatrician's office. So you can do herbs that can clear the sinuses, clear the eustachian tubes a couple days before you fly, so you don't have to deal with that ear infection. So in my practice, it's all about analyzing our life, understanding our weaknesses, being one step ahead, and having tools. Yeah,
to prepare yourself.
yeah. So about stress, I'll give you a for instance. So here's how stress works. Let's make up a number. The stress hormone is called cortisol. It can give us the strength to run a race, that, you know, at the end of the race. But too much cortisol, too high, too often causes ulcers, migraines, a lot of things. So let's pretend like our stress level is when we lose it is 300. So if you're constantly living at 250, what's going to happen is every little thing is going to put you over the edge. So you need to push your levels down to 150, right? So that you have
when
that
we start,
space to
yeah.
like kind of flip out. Now, here's a problem we have. If your mothers were stressed during their pregnancies, you will be born with higher stress levels. And I'm going to flip you guys out even more. If your grandmother was stressed, we all live not only in our mother's stomach, but in our grandmother's stomach. Why? Because when your mother was growing and developing inside her mother, all the little eggs were already inside of her once she was developed. So we have the stress from living inside our grandmother and the stress of living inside of our mother. And then here we are in a stressful world.
So that's what happened to the next generation.
Yeah.
Always it's worse because he's having all the eggs from the past, no? Oh my goodness.
You're saying that is genetics?
Well, it's not genetics. It's a predisposition when you're born.
Because
So-
this is a nice explanation, but still.
It gives us
Well,
some space, yeah.
So first of all, gives us an excuse like, not my fault, not my fault. But
that comes from my grandma. That comes from my mom. And like,
And those flat feet
very
from my
nice to
husband.
have the
You
blame
can
on
know,
someone that is
exactly.
not around us.
You can know.
Hopefully he is, she is, but still.
But if we acknowledge that we tend to have our stress levels high, the first thing is acknowledging it. Then we can take herbs, and I have other tools that don't cost any money, which we'll talk about. So we can lower those stress levels. We want to lower them on the good days, not only on our freak out days, on a daily basis. Like, okay, and we're going to talk about those skills. You need to then, the more stressed we are, the more during our good days, we need to work on lowering our stress levels because we know a stressed out day is around the corner. So I'm going to give you an amazing example before we even get to herbs and aromatherapy. There's something called random acts of kindness. Random acts of kindness is you just randomly do nice things for people. So the benefit of doing that is that you help people in need. You know, you're driving on the 405 and someone cuts you off. And of course, you know what I want to do is cuss at them and give them the, I'm trying to be nice here. But if I just kind of chill out a little and let them cut me off, the benefit is that my blood pressure lowers when I do random acts of kindness. If we go visit children in the hospital or a friend in the hospital and we bring things to them, besides helping them, clinical studies show that our blood pressure lowers and our cortisol levels lower. So if you're having a really bad week or bad month, the more random acts of kindness you do, the lower your cortisol levels are going to be. How amazing is that?
It's a trick.
It's called in Hebrew, it's a mitzvah.
Yes, for sure.
It's a trick, you know.
And it's working.
Yeah.
In times that you are stressed out,
Yes.
you need to do exactly the opposite way. You have to lower yourself, do good things, good deeds in order to.
But how can you do something good if you're under stress or on anxiety, or you're saying that
You need to just make it a habit. It's more of a habit. You know what I'm saying?
How to control it.
Hold the door open for someone. You don't even have to
Small
be good at
gestures.
it yet. It's small gestures. And the more we do that, the more our body responds in a calm way. You know, so it's a practice. It's like,
It is a practice.
it's like, a lot of people talk about positive affirmations. I'm not going to put them down, but you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm skinny. No, I really need to lose 10 pounds. Oh, I'm gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I have wrinkles under my eyes, right? Positive affirmations are really hard because you're like, I'm lying to myself.
Reality.
Yeah. But when you do a random act of kindness, you're just doing a good deed. You don't have to be beautiful or perfect and not have bags under your arms. You need to do it. You see a mom carrying a baby, you can go over and help her in some kind of a way, So that's an important first step at lowering our cortisol. I'm going to give you another example, okay? We don't have a pen here, so I'm going to use my reading glasses. Do you have a pen? Okay, great. There was a real clinical study. This is real. And what they did was they took university students and they gave them all comics and they wanted them to rate whether they were funny or not. So the first group, they put the pen in their mouth like this. And they held it like this the whole time they were rating it. The second time they came back, they put the pen in a position like this. And had to rate it. Okay, now, what they found, which is mind-blowing, is that the people that had a fake smile on their face rated the comics as funnier than when they had a frown on their face. So here's the story. You're having a bad day, bad week, bad month, bad year. You've got to do random acts of kindness, and then you've got to fake smile. So even if it's fake, what the studies show is that the movement of the lips changes the brain chemistry. So when I'm in New York and I randomly smile at people, they're like, oh my God, she's going to rob me, pickpocket me. They run in the opposite direction.
Another sick lady around.
When I'm in LA and I smile, they go, oh, Sara Khan had plastic surgery just like me.
Hilarious.
I'm kidding, but you know what I'm saying.
No, but people in New York are kind. New Jersey.
No, they're mean and vicious. No, they're nicer here. They're much nicer. But so here's really the homework. The homework is I'm going to do random acts of kindness. And I'm going to practice smiling.
It's a muscle.
It's a muscle.
You have to practice that.
And it's a learned behavior. Okay, I'm stressed out. I'm going to smile. Really important. So I got another trick for you. You want another trick? It changes a lot.
You're arguing with your husband. You say, no, you're not trying today. Today I have a...
Yes. So you're gonna calm your
body.
body.
Do whatever I want anyhow. Yeah,
this is amazing.
It's great. So another trick, which is very important, is Our eyes, they found out, have 3 different kinds of fluids in them. So the first fluid is when we constantly close our eyes to wash our eyes to keep them moist. The second one is if we get something stuck in our eye, tears come out to push something out.
Out.
But the third kinds of tears,
Tears of sadness or happiness?
Is tears of sadness or happiness is cortisol, the stress hormone. So when you cry, the stress hormone leaves your body. So if I could take a blood test before and after a cry,
Stop crying, baby.
you see, it would be, let's say 300. After you cry, it can go down to 200. Why am I saying this? Because when we or our children cry, it's like, have a stiff upper lip, hold it in. And the answer is no. You need to go in your car, cry and sob, let your mascara smear down your face, because you will feel better an hour later when you get the cortisol out. So if you have a kid that's losing it, instead of like, shh, okay, I'll give you like 5 pieces of candy if you stop crying, you guys say, you know what, cry, get it all out.
Healthy.
You're stressed, get it all out. So it's a tool. Again, remember in the beginning we were talking about, I'm giving you tools, because the world is a rough place to live.
It is.
So we have to remember, random acts of kindness cost you no money. Smiling, I mean, no money. And then crying when you feel like it is super, super, super important.
And we are doing it like in kindergarten, in daycares.
Yeah.
You don't need to cry. You can stop crying for today. And we are just taking this.
Their cortisol levels will stay up high.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As educators and parents, we have something with the, or what families are doing to boys. You are a man, you cannot cry.
Yeah.
No, this is
Terrible.
something like
Ulcer, migraine,
so we have
spine
it's a
problems.
matter of change of attitude of, if someone needs to cry, let him do that.
And encourage them.
Do that.
Tell them it's great. It's so good for your body. Cry. Get it out. Go ahead and just sob for a while. You're going to feel so much better at the end of it because you have a chemical change. That's what I want everyone to know, that your chemistry will change and you'll be able to maybe problem solve better.
So maybe guys are less emotional, communicative, because they are not crying, like they create something very strict, very tough inside of them.
Well,
there is connection between.
I'm going to tell you, it's a great thing you brought that up. Can I tell you a story? Can I tell you a true funny story?
We are here for that.
Okay. So this is a true story that really happened to me, and we're going to talk about the difference between men and women and our brains. Okay. So I keep the Jewish Sabbath, and every Friday night I make a very big Shabbos meal with a lot of guests. And I have 7 children. I'm a mom of 7 children. So I have a girl, 5 boys, and a girl. And my Shabbos table had been set perfectly gorgeous, stunning. My boys were all dressed in black pants and a white shirt and black yarmulkes. And I'm in the kitchen, burning the chicken, flipping out, having my little breakdown there. And all of a sudden I hear silence, okay? Silence with kids is a scary,
dangerous.
Something's going on.
So
Red alert.
I know. So I sneak out of my kitchen, a nervous wreck, and my boys say, "Ma, look!" They had pushed my whole Shabbos table up against the wall. They took baby powder, put it all over the living room floor, and said, "Ma, it's an ice skating rink." And they're going back and forth and back and forth. And my table is ruined. Their black pants are all white, and there's baby powder all over. It's like 10 minutes before our guests are coming. So what do I do being a normal human being? Is I scream like a maniac, yelling, screaming hysterically. My kid bangs his head, and I pick him up, and I love you. You're my favorite. I'm kissing, smooching. So how can women's brains go from complete anger to complete
love and
compassion? It's because we're crazy. And I'm going to tell you why we're crazy. Because we use both sides of our brain at the same time, and men only use one side. So Dr. Brazeltine is a brain researcher, and she did MRIs of women's brains. We're going to talk about pregnancy in 1 second. And what she found was that women use both sides of their brain at the same time. So they can love and hate their husband. They can love and hate their job,
That's
right?
why we can never make a decision.
Right. Because they both
both
make sense. So, and men problem solve on one side. It's like, okay, it's just the way we need to do it. Yeah, but I can tell you. So we need to know that our brains flop back and forth and back and forth. But it allows us to multitask, and it allows us to think of two things at the same time. I'm going to blow your mind. Dr. Brazeltine saw and teaches us that during pregnancy, our brain shrinks by 60%. We really have brain fog when we're pregnant. So our brains shrink, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm in this world, but I'm like kind of out of it. It's terrible. But what they say is that when you get first married, you can think of yourself and your husband at the same time. You can do that.
Yeah.
When you have a child and your brain constricts and then reopens, you can think about yourself, your husband, and your child at the same time. Then you get pregnant again, your brain shrinks again, and she discusses how it reboots itself to be able to think of four things at the same time.
Wow, it's restarting each time.
It reboots itself. It really does. So on one level, it's terrifying. Oh my gosh, I have brain shrinkage problems. And then on the other side is it allows us to be able to think of this dentist appointment, this orthodontist appointment. I have to get a new pair of shoes. I forgot school registration. Oh my God. You know what? You know that.
I'm so happy I have been born as a woman.
There you go.
Shrink of them.
So happy about it.
Right. But we will have more extreme emotional swings. Now, I want to say there are men out there that have emotional swings for sure. It's not just us, but we recover quickly. We recover quickly. And that's the whole point that I want to say. Another amazing story. Shlomo HaMelech, the king, this is a story, and he wanted to have the most beautiful ring in the world created for him. Did you ever hear this? And people, jewelry makers all over the world,
Example, yeah.
diamonds and rubies and sapphires, and everybody was presenting, and he's like, no, 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 no. And this little boy got a ring that said, and you can say it in Hebrew after, this too shall pass. And the point, and that was the ring that won. That was the ring
too
shall pass. What's the Hebrew? Ilana, what is it? No, there's a big thing, this for Shlomo HaMelech. Oh my gosh.
I know one that says "Ani levadi v'dadi li."
No, it's not.
Right. No, that's
that one.
Well, we're going to come up. I
Okay.
mentioned in my book Moodtopia, but that was the message, the ring that won, because when we get into our emotional places, we need to know that there's a lesson we need to learn from this. And this lesson, once we get it, will pass. And there'll be another lesson around the corner. Another lesson. So I was raised at Laurel Canyon in Mulholland my whole life. And my mother would drive the canyons every day to carpool. And you're driving like this, and you're driving around, and you're driving like this. And there was one corner where there was a near accident, like every morning. And she'd say, thank God we're alive today. Like there was always a near accident. So my mother started getting frustrated, normal emotion. Then she started getting angry. This is ridiculous. And so she called the city, and the city said, if you get 1,000 signatures, we'll put a stop sign there. This is way before Facebook and Instagram. My mother, with her
It was
anger,
hard to have.
hard with her anger and her frustration, she went door by door in the Hollywood Hills, and she got 1,000 signatures. And today, there is a stop sign. Why am I bringing up this story? First of all, yay to my mom. Yay.
It's
yay.
your mom's name. Yeah.
Yeah. But her anger was beneficial.
And
And-
an achievement.
Our anger is beneficial if we do something about it. When we have these strong emotions, we need to not be scared by them. We need to not be hijacked by them. And we need to not throw little swords or daggers at those around us. We need to know, okay, I'm angry. What's the lesson? What am I supposed to be doing?
What's next?
Sometimes you
What
can't
does it
change
bring me?
things. I mean, with politics, some things you can't change. But if you're upset about something around the house, be angry, get that energy, because anger is a huge energy. I mean, like if you're exhausted and you get angry at something, you got the power to take over the world. You know, I'm going to kill that guy. Just wait, hold me back, right? So what happens is,
I'll be back.
right. So when we have that anger of emotion, it's a positive emotion
It's creative.
if we
It's creative.
analyze and then have something beneficial. Sadness, it's a beneficial emotion, because then we can be more compassionate for a neighbor or a child or a friend. And depression, I don't like to use the word depression, but when women call me up because they're like, hey, I'm depressed, I'm like, have you ever like gotten into bed for 3 days, turned off your phone, get a babysitter for your kids? Very often for a lot of my depressed women, you just need 3 days in bed. So when people are like, I can't get out of bed, and they like force themselves, maybe they need 3 days in bed, and maybe they're going to analyze and reanalyze, refocus on their life, come up with some new ideas. So
3 days in bed, it means 3 days with himself.
Yeah. Yeah. And problem solving. So I'm just saying, like God created us so moody, you know. For most women, I mean, I don't know you two, but you know, most women I work with, it's like, oh my gosh.
I'm okay. She has a problem. I'm okay.
No,
the problem is
I'm saying it all the time. No one is normal.
For sure.
No one, unless you prove it. Unless you prove it.
But you see, if the emotions were taught to children in preschool and elementary school and junior high and high school, and you could get your master's degree in college, then people would be able to problem solve. And we don't have, in my experience, most people don't have those skills. They don't know that they need to do random acts of kindness. You know, like in school, we like clean up, be nice to your friends. You're like, well, why? He's an idiot. You know, this 3-year-old kid is like, he always bites me. Why should I be nice to him?
Nice to him.
But if they knew that it would help them, they'd feel better. They'd feel stronger. It could be that it would be that kids would get it, and in elementary school and in junior high. So we're adults.
This was my next question
Yeah.
about it. There are a lot of kids with the DSH disorder. ADD disorder.
ADHD, yeah.
ADHD
Or
all
bullying.
those kinds. And you are the herb master.
Yeah.
Herbs are beneficial.
They help.
They help.
They definitely help.
They can replace maybe
before
one
Ritalin,
or two of
maybe
those,
before Ritalin, they should call
of
you.
those medications that certain kids are taking because they must, so they can go through the exams and their responsibilities.
Yes, and we're going to get into herbs soon, so we make sure, you know, we have time to cover herbs and everything. But
so you have the answer for those?
I don't know that, I'm not going to promise that I have the answer for everybody, but I know that in my practice, herbs help a lot. And I want to tell you a very interesting study and research by a man, Dr. I forgot his name, but he wrote a book called Spark. And when you make a memory in your brain, you need a chemical called brain-derived neurotropic factor. So you have a neuron in your brain, and then this is the neuron that's going to then make the memory. So you need this kind of bridge chemical called brain-derived neurotropic factor that solidifies that memory. So they did a study with boys, and they were in like 7th or 8th grade, and they broke them up into 2 grades, and they were on the same academic levels. And one group they gave breakfast to, and they taught them 45 vocabulary words and then tested them on it a week later. The other group, they gave them breakfast and they made them work out hard for an hour, like a hard basketball game, or like really work out. And they taught them that group the 45 vocabulary words. What they found was not only the group that exercised did better on the test a week later, but 2 months later and 6 months later, they also did better on the exam. So a lot of these kids that are suffering with ADD and ADHD, they have these high cortisol levels, okay? So we can give them herbs to lower their cortisol levels. They can't unwind and go to sleep, but we're not pushing enough exercise on them. And get them out there, have them jump on a trampoline for 2 hours.
It's one of the most.
That is so true.
You know what? It's an eye opener. It's like unbelievable. Yeah. We treat exercise like a task.
Yes.
Oh no, don't. I will do diet. I will not go there. No, diet is like 80% food.
Yeah.
No one take under consideration the fact that exercise, there is no connection between that and diet. Exercise should be for your body, for your mind, for your.
It's medicine.
Exactly. For the chemical bridging, for everything.
It's medicine.
Should come from there, not from like it's a PE class that
No.
you have to,
No.
or you will not get credit for that, or if you're making a diet and you don't do exercise, you will not. It's not because of that. You have to move because you have to move for yourself.
Because it's medicine, because it's free
Exactly.
medicine. Laughter, crying, smiling, random acts of kindness, free. We're not, I'm not selling you 100 supplements. I'm telling you free.
It's a kit.
It's a
Free
kit. And I talk about that in my book, Moodtopia. I go step by step in Moodtopia.
Can you
Besides
give me
talking,
one book that I will show.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is the book Moodtopia.
it's not in Hebrew yet.
It's not in Hebrew yet.
The book is in English language,
Yes.
and you can order through the
Amazon
website
or Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Moodtopia. It is high $18.
Yeah.
That's
It's great. It's on
amazing.
sale now on Amazon for $9.99 or $9.95. It's a great deal right now.
Amazing. And this is the preparation. We have the recipes.
I
over
have
here,
everything
the
in here.
explanations.
I talk all
all of
about most of the topics, but more in depth that we're speaking about. And then I also go through the herbs and aromatherapy. And I wanted to jump back to kids again because, maybe lots of our viewers have,
We get the stress from the kids. though.
for sure. So there was a study done in,
I know.
No, but most of the viewers
Unconsciously.
have kids.
yeah, for sure. In Sweden, there's a woman that was researching. Her name just flew out of my head. Researching the hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is the feel-good hormone. And they found that with these ADD children and ADHD children, if they every 2 hours gave them a 5-minute massage. Now, this is not going to be okay in American schools. We're not even going to go there, but it was done in Sweden.
So too
They
good
got
to be
a
true.
little massage on
So
their
maybe
neck,
go to Sweden.
a little hand massage, little head massage, because don't forget we have muscles that come from our neck all the way over our head, and a
Yeah.
lot of our headache sufferers just need a good head massage. And these kids performed much better and didn't need medicine. So if we've got these kids that are ADD, ADHD, they need to exercise, they need massage, they need some herbs, and maybe we can't cure all of them, but we're going to cure a lot of them, because going to adults, 1 out of 5 Americans are on psychotropic drugs. I don't know the Israeli population, but
No,
1 out
we
of
are-
5.
We are different species.
It could be, but from my
We're
studies,
protected.
We're the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Hello. We
I
were
don't
talking
know.
about
I
Holy
just
Land.
went to Israel for the first time 8 weeks ago. I don't know, but
No, because you weren't born there, so you don't know the codes to survive in Israel. We have a different
Oh, yeah.
Da Vinci code.
The stress is the
yeah.
same.
stress
It's like
is-
here traffic. My husband is an American. He can sit on 3 hours. I said, "Come on!" He said, "Tonya, it's
This is
traffic."
impossible
Like
in
it's,
Israel.
it's
Yeah.
a fact. It's like in Israel. If you come and you see stress in the street, it's a fact.
Yeah.
Each state has their own.
except that there's more post-traumatic stress disorder in Israel than any other country in the world. So we know that.
stress.
So back to our statistics. It's 1 out of 5
I
Americans.
don't want to say this loudly, but of
Okay,
course,
I'm
why
going to
not?
say it.
Of
1 out of 5 Americans are on psychotropic drugs. Though psychotropic drugs means medication for anxiety, stress, depression. Most the people are diagnosed by their general practitioner, their GP, rather than a psychiatrist. And usually it's diagnosed and prescribed within a 6-minute visit. Narcotics Anonymous, NA, is mostly populated by people that are trying to get off of prescription medications, and psychotropic drugs are up there on the list. And when someone's handed a psychotropic drug, it's not like the doctor says, take this for 6 months. This is how you get off the
It's for
medication.
life.
They think it's for life. So if they're having side effects, lack of sexuality is one of the big ones, mood swings, there's so many side effects that go on. People don't even know that there's other options. So that's what my book Moodtopia and our discussion really today is. I taught you the free things, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about herbs because I think they're
So I just want
important.
to let
Yes.
you know that we are we're here in this
Yes.
It's the time has a different attitude. Like an hour past like 30 minutes.
I know.
So
You
Do
don't
we
sense
have
it.
some time?
You don't sense it. We have time.
we
Good.
have no, but
Good.
go to the other side that you want. Otherwise, we'll have. To
That's
sit
why
here.
I'm doing it.
Good.
So herbs have been used for 5,700 years. It says in Tehillim that Hashem, God, gave grass for the cattle and herbs for the service of man, and the word there is service. It also says in the Torah that Hashem put the refuah in the world before the illness. And if you look at the days of creation, Hashem created plants and trees before man. And it says in the Gemara that Hashem did not allow the plants to flower until man was created, because it's man's job to take care of the plants. Now, we as human beings can't survive without eating vegetables. I mean, our kids survive on Bamba and super snacks for years, and we're always like, how are they still alive? Yeah. But past that, you know, like 1 year of not eating, we really need plants. So onions and garlic are considered an herb, not a vegetable. When we talk about cilantro, we talk about parsley, dill, turmeric, pepper. We don't think of it as herbs, but they are herbs. So there are herbs that help with our psyche. It's not popular now, but WHO, which is the World Health Organization, who interviews people worldwide, find that outside of the United States and probably Israel, also, I'm going to put you in our group, 90% of people use herbs, don't even think of them as herbs. You're getting a menstrual cycle, you've got cramps, you take herbs. Of course, after you have a baby, you take herbs. We've lost that, and I want to rebring that because we can grow herbs on our windowsill. So here I brought an herb called lavender. Oh. Lavender, we've all heard of it in an essential oil, but it's more than that. This is the plant. Doesn't smell so strong now, but that's a lavender.
But it has the color.
It has the color and the scent. So lavender tea can help with sadness and gloominess. Lavender can bring joy to the heart. And we use it specifically for sadness when you feel like you're stuck. Like you said before, should I stay? Should I stay or should I go now? That's an American song. Yeah, so you're like, what should I do? I don't know. Having a cup of lavender tea can open up your heart to help you make a decision. In tincture, in an essential oil, clinical studies show that it can help you fall asleep. Now, you can't take lavender once and say, okay, it didn't help me fall asleep. This is how our memory works with smell. If you have a kid that has trouble sleeping, okay, yes. a lot of kids, when they take a shower, when you bathe them at night, you put a couple drops of lavender on their towel, and they smell it. Then you put them in their pajamas and you do 1 or 2 little drops of lavender, and they smell it. Then you put them to sleep. You put a couple drops on their pillowcase, as long as it's not a $5,000 pillowcase. Yeah. And their subconscious will start to make the association with lavender and sleep. So their brain's like, I don't want to sleep. I have FOMO. I don't want to miss anything. It's aromatherapy. But you don't have to make this expensive investment in aromatherapy. You can find 1 or 2 oils and make an association with it. For instance, let's say you fear public speaking, but you're a pharmaceutical representative and you have to every day, you know, public speak. Yeah. You could take an oil like a sandalwood or a lang-lang, put it on a tissue. Again, remember, this is about not spending a lot of money. Breathe it in and say, I'm calm and I can public speak. I'm calm. Are you brainwashing yourself? Of course you are.
Is that what you did before?
Of course you are. Of course you are. But you're making that subconscious association. Make sense? Okay.
You work on your psychic.
Like right. And your olfactory makes a association. Like if your grandmother baked the best apple pie in the world, every time you smell apple pie, you're going to remember.
Yeah.
Bubby, I remember.
Definitely.
That's what
smells with the occasion.
It brings you back.
It brings you back.
Yeah.
So we can create our own associations for ourselves and our kids with a very positive way. I didn't bring all my herbs, but I want to talk for a minute about a bunch of herbs. First, what I want to do is tell you that you can get a lot of these herbs in tea bags. This is a company, I don't represent them, called Organic India. And they have a lot of different blends. Now, If you want a medicinal dosage of a tea, you need to put in at least 3 tea bags
In 1 cup?
One
in
dose.
1 cup. Pour boiling water over it, cover it, let it sit for 20 minutes, then squeeze out the tea. Now you have medicine. If you take 1 tea bag, you're flavoring the water, and it's great. I don't mind. But if we're talking medicinally, now, because I find that most of my clients are neurotic, type A personality, on the run, in LA, in their car all the time, I don't see people sitting down and drinking tea. So I give it in what is
That's
called...
when it's 100 degrees.
Right. Well, that's another discussion. So I use it in what is called tincture form. Tincture form is a liquid like this. Can you see it? There we go, camera. It's a liquid. They have it in small little bottles that you can travel with. You can keep this in your pocket. And what you do is you take a little bit of water, take the dropper, and you can keep this in hot cars. And you're going to shoot it in the cup, and you're going to take your water or juice and down it like vodka. Now,
Like vodka.
like a shot of it. You just take a shot. I like you to dilute it. The reason I use tinctures is because they have a 10-year shelf life. They can be in our hot cars. They can be in our backpacks, briefcases, or purses.
Nothing affects them.
Nothing's going to affect them. And you have it in your pocket like, oh, crap, I'm stuck in traffic. How could my husband be so calm? Kind of want to shoot him, holding back, need him to be alive. Let me take a dose of my herb. You know what I mean? Like, you know, kids, oh my gosh, they're making me crazy. I still want them alive an hour from now. You take some of your herb. You will feel most of the herbs that I'm going to discuss within 20 minutes. And it's not like a drug. We're not getting stoned. It's not marijuana. It really is not, you know, like drinking, but it calms you down. So there's an herb called skullcap, which is for nervous anxiety. It is in the mint family. And skullcap takes the agitation to a lower level in our body. So when I was raising my 7 children, 5 of which were boys, when it was 3:45, I took skullcap so that I would live through homework, dinner, and putting them to bed. And I was calmer. I can't say I didn't scream. I'm normal. I have 2 sides of my brain working at the same time. But I was calmer. There's an herb called motherwort, which is for hormonal grumpiness. So when are women hormonally grumpy? Before their period, during their period, after their period, and before their next cycle, right? All the time.
All the time.
So motherwort doesn't change our hormones, but it makes it not as much of a roller coaster. Like, I can cope. Oh my gosh. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
the
not going to
gaps are
scream
not
at
so
my
big.
neighbor. They're not
The
so,
gaps, yeah.
it's not so big. So motherwort is for hormonal gloominess, and skullcap is for agitation. So you should say to me, can I take them both together? I'm hormonal and nervous. And the answer is yes, of course you can.
Perfect.
You can. Now, we have another herb called
I'm
mimosa.
already there.
Yeah.
Oh, now Liati is not interviewing you. Liati is listening.
Oh
Because
my
she's,
God.
she's
knows.
writing.
Right.
I know.
Right.
She's
Right.
writing. She's trying to memorize the names that you're saying.
Right.
I'm gonna get that book.
So there you go, Mootopia. So there's another herb I want to talk about called rose petals.
Oh.
Now, all roses are edible, not the ones you get at the florist because they do spray them with pesticides. But if you're ever lost in the woods, you can eat rose petals. Rose petals have been used in many cultures. Our Svardisha community use rose water in everything that they bake. And roses are for people that have a broken heart. And it actually, rose in the family of botanical, it works on the heart. There's another herb called hawthorn, which we use for people with high blood pressure. So when you drink tea made from rose or take a tincture made out of rose, it can help repair a broken heart. Now, in America, when you go to the hospital, you bring someone roses because we know that roses help people feel
we
better.
don't know why, but we know that we have to bring rose.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that people know the reason.
And your husband does something completely wrong and he is guilty, guilty, guilty. He's going to go get us roses, right? Well, chocolate also, because chocolate also lifts our lowers our cortisol levels and raises our oxytocin levels. So there's really something to chocolate and roses.
I think diamond can make it too.
I agree. And there is a homeopathic
There is no
remedy.
extract
No,
from a diamond.
why we're going on chocolate and flowers? Let's talk jewelry. something
Yeah,
like-
for
It makes the
sure.
hormones high. It makes you happy.
Right.
Depends how guilty it is.
Well, it's
Oh,
very
okay.
interesting because it's a
How bad was
Yeah,
it?
I love it.
guilty.
It is a Jewish custom for women that have fertility issues to actually ingest some ground ruby. That's an old Jewish Baba Misa, by the way, from Eastern Europe. And there were the midwives would keep some powder made from
The ruby
rubies
stone?
to take internally. I'm not saying to do it now. Don't go crush
I
a
know.
ruby.
Heard about that.
No, don't
Yeah.
get and say Sarah Hannah told us to do
Yeah.
that.
But it is a custom because we're talking about diamonds, which is a girl's best friend. But also during pregnancies, it was a big custom to wear a ruby ring. And if there was one ruby in the family, they would give it from woman to woman to woman. So there's your, it's very fascinating. But back to herbs. So can you be hormonally grumpy and a nervous wreck and have a broken heart? Yeah, you can put all those 3 herbs together. Make sense?
Yeah.
So people should know about rose. Like if you're going to someone who had a loss of a loved one or lost their job or their husband lost their job,
Rose is nice.
you bring
It's
them some
beautiful.
rose tea.
Oh.
You can bring them some rose essential oil. You can bring them rosin tincture. And it's safe for 99.9% of people. I mean, legally, I have to say, check with your master herbalist or your doctor before you ingest anything. But I'm going to tell you that rose is great. So, you know, you don't know what to do for a friend. What do? Oh my gosh, you're going through a crisis. You can get a 2-ounce bottle for like $25. And it's going to last them for like 8 to 10 weeks.
Wow.
You're like, here's some rose. So we have to like open our minds how we're supporting people. So I spoke about the herb lemon balm before. So lemon balm is from the mint family. You can grow it on your windowsill. You don't need a green thumb. It helps reduce fevers in children with fevers. It helps with cold and flu if you're having muscle aches. And it helps calm you down after a stress day. You can make lemon balm tea into ices for your kids. And you can give it to those ADD kids before they leave for school. And if you're flying from here to Israel, you're on a 10-hour flight, I would give my kids
14.
lemon balm, 14, lemon balm in the morning, lemon balm on the way to the airplane. I get a 2-ounce bottle, legal to bring on the plane, lemon balm during the flight. It's not going to change their lives completely, but it will calm you down. Most of my tinctures are in grain alcohol.
It's legal up to how many ounces?
You can take up to 3 ounces on an airplane.
Okay.
So you can get these in 2 and 4 ounce bottles. So I'll give my clients 2 2-ounce bottles to bring when they're traveling. So most of my tinctures are in a grain alcohol because they have a longer shelf life. But for kids, you can get it in what is called the glycerite, and it tastes like candy. Kids do not mind it. So let me go back to how we make an herb. So people know. I want people to be smart. Like, I'm not a practitioner where like I give you 100 supplements and you leave. No, you're my partner. All I'm doing as an herbalist is
people.
educating you and helping you on your path. That's it. So in California, flowers bloom all the time. You guys are lucky. But in New York and 3/4 of the United States and Israel, plants only bloom for about 6 weeks and they die. That's it. We got 6 weeks. So what herbalists do is take the plant. We're going to take the root, the leaf, the flower, the stem, or the seed, depending on what it is. And then we pour grain alcohol over it. And we let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks. We strain it and we have a medicine like this. Do you see why pharmaceutical companies don't like us? Because this is a 10-year shelf life. And the reason we do that is because plants lose their koyach very, very quickly. Because what happens is you buy fresh parsley. It's beautiful. It's green. About a day in the fridge, it's wilting. 2 days, it gets yellow.
After 3 days,
It's white. And you're never going to use it again. That's what happens to plants. But if you take that parsley right from the ground, put it in either a vinegar, because you can make parsley vinegar, or a grain alcohol, you will then, the alcohol or the vinegar will break down the vitamins and nutrients of the plant and go into the alcohol or the vinegar, because you can make medicine out of vinegar. And then you have a 10-year shelf life.
For how long? Each one is different.
How long does it take to make the medicine?
The process of the.
Usually you let it sit for about 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
You don't have to do it because we have so many companies that
And
now
they're
make
they're
it.
doing that for us.
They're doing it for, but I still want you to know where it comes from.
So natural.
It comes from completely a plant. When you get a tincture, this is called a tincture. This is a tea bag. This is an essential oil. This is the raw herb. When you get a tincture, there's only 2 ingredients in it, the herb and grain alcohol.
That's it.
Or the herb and glycerite. That's it. So it's not like those products that you get, you're like,
Tons of chemical
oh my gosh,
issues.
what? I can't even pronounce this. This is why it's called people's medicine, because
It's the herb,
everybody.
it's the herb and the liquid that work with it, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So it's not so popular because as Jewish people, we were in Russia, Romania, Poland, wherever we were. World War II came. Young people were extracted from their homes, went to either Israel or South America or America, 18, 17 years old. They didn't even remember the traditions of their family, and they certainly didn't remember the medicinal traditions. But in the Beis Hamikdash, we had an altar where we burned essential oils. There was a special altar for essential oils. So I tease my clients all the time. It's not for the hipster generation. It's not just people that go to Whole Foods. They're copying the Jewish people. We've been using this. It says when Sara couldn't conceive a baby, was it Sara? Was it Sara? Help me. She was given an herb. We don't know that herb, but she was given an herb and she became fertile.
Yeah. So right.
It's our Jewish tradition. And I'm going to tell you something even more, because I want Jews to understand how we are farmers. We went into Eretz Yisrael. It was a desert. It was desolate. And what did European Jews do? They got their bare hands. They dug up the dirt. They planted plants and they grew. And we have the best agriculture almost anywhere in the world. And so we as Jewish women need to start thinking, we're farmers. We have a tradition of herbs and essential oils. It's our custom. Now, the Sephardic community that was not repressed in Eastern European like we were, you go to their house, turmeric, they use mint, they use everything. Cinnamon. They use all the herbs. And if you have a bubby or a safta and your kid has an ear infection, she's making garlic and she's making olive oil. Because they have more of the tradition that we lost.
It's a medication of safta.
Right, of course.
She knows what to do.
She knows what to do.
Grandma's medicine.
Right. Yeah. So we did potato poultices. We did all these kinds that I teach. This is what I teach on my website.
The
You cannot believe what
the cabbage. With
had engorgement, of course. There's a chemical in it that reduces inflammation, but it's reducing the tissue around the milk ducts. We're talking about cabbage during engorgement.
Yeah.
It's not reducing the milk, it's reducing the inflammation. So what I try to do is, and that's why I'm here today, and thank you, ladies, thank you, is I want to empower women to go back, not be afraid of the plants, not be afraid of the soil, not be afraid of these things, and mind-blowing, which I talk about in Moodtopia. When you work in the soil, there is a chemical in it that acts as an antidepressant. So they used to say when people age and they garden, it keeps their spirits up. But what we're learning is in the soil, there is something to help us. So we need to, now look, I get my nails done. I go and get facials. I wear high heels. I'm a superficial woman. Also, I love it. Drive my car, but we need to take off our shoes sometimes, walk on the soil, and dig the ground.
And do what you have to do.
Because that's who we are. Even though we've been repressed people. Look, we teach the land of Israel. I mean, like, I just went there for the first time. I was a chaperone on a birthright program.
Yeah, she told me she was there once. Only once.
Only once.
How come?
All my kids went. And for 10 days, I was just a spectator. But the plants, the trees, the date trees, what you guys have planted there is mind-blowing. That's who we all are, even living in California, even living in New York. And that's why when women start including plants in their life again, not only do they feel better, but they feel empowered. Like if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and your kid is up screaming with an ear infection, I mean, like, you need to know what to do. Oh, I got a little garlic mullein oil. There you go, sweetie pie. I can help you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, let me give you an herb. I always joke all the time that you'll have a kid and they'll have a fever and the mom goes, oh my gosh, you're so hot. And the kid's like, oh, I didn't even notice. They called their husband. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Henry, he's got such a fever. And the kid's like, I didn't know I was so sick. This is a 2 or 3-year-old. Hangs with the phone. Frantic. We got to go to the doctor. Frantic. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't take our kids to the doctor. But if it's 2 in the morning,
the way.
Yeah,
you're
try something nicer, easier.
See what's going
calmer.
on. And also be like, I got this. I'm a rock star. Don't worry, Henry.
Oh, yeah.
I know what to do for you. Let me give you a little bit of lemon balm tea. And you keep on telling your child, again, I'm not saying we don't go to the doctor, but your immune system's working perfectly. A fever is what fights infection. Your body is perfect, right? Of course, go to the doctor, check it out. But I'm saying us as moms, us as grandmothers, we're empowering. We've got this. Here, I'm going to give you an icicle that I made out of an herb. Or here, I'm going to rub a little essential oil on your body. Let me put something.
No, right?
Yeah, let me put some in your ear. That kid's going to feel like he can heal. Make sense? So with a fever, you can take a little lotion, any lotion you want, put a couple drops of peppermint oil, and you massage it into their back and feet. When a child has a fever, of course, you went to the doctor, we have to say that, but you want their body to stay hot, but the child to feel cooler. You want them to perspire, because then the fever can go up and they perspire, fever can go up and they perspire, and they will heal themselves. We don't want to get rid of it right away. So that's the tools I want women to know. Have a little first aid kit of natural things in their cabinet. Not going to cost a lot of money. You don't need to spend a lot. You have a couple products there. You learn how to use them. On my website, sarachana.com, I do have different ideas.
Sarachana.com.
Yeah.
This is the website. All the tips, all the ideas, you have everything there.
Yes, and
beside the book and beside to reach you.
I'm working on Moodtopia for kids, and I'm hoping, I'm in the middle of organizing that, because I feel that moms need that too. And the Moodtopia is going to be, what if a kid has a flu, they're in a bad mood? What if a kid has an ear infection, they're in a bad mood? What if they have ADD and ADHD? So I'm trying to go. Yes.
That a lot of communities will be anxious to hear that and read that.
Yes.
The fact that the terms and the language is different, there will be a little, whenever you will translate it to
Hebrew.
Wait.
I want to. Someone has to call me and help me figure it out.
Someone will call, please.
Yes.
Okay. That's the.
Yeah. I would love it, because that would be a very good tool.
I know our community.
Yes.
The moms are not so chemicals, and they are looking for something more natural. There we are.
I know.
So if it will be available to our understanding by terms,
I would love.
It will be so negotiable. We can use it. We can use it.
I was just invited, I think it's February 5th. I just got invited to Israel. They're having their first ever herbal conference in the land. And they're bringing a bunch of us Jewish herbalists from around the world to come teach. So I got chills because it's so exciting. So we're trying to go back and bring your knowledge. It's your knowledge. It's your gift from Hashem. So that's what we're doing. And that's February 5th. I don't know the details, but
let's say that we are going to make a workshop.
Sure, I'd love.
We're going to make a workshop, that what we talked back then.
Yes.
We will invite ladies, women from the Israeli community.
Yes.
We will do it, of course, in English, but I'll be there with my English and Hebrew. And we will do a workshop about herbs and oil and herbs and vinaigrette You remember
Yes.
around Hanukkah? נכון?
Yes, yes.
Somewhere in December, you will have the details. We will tell them. And whoever will find it interesting or inspiring or something that can light something inside them to do things more healthier, we will let them know.
Right. And we're gonna talk about things they can do at home.
At home, exactly.
So they're empowered. It's not about buying a product from
Yeah.
me. It's about teaching everybody else
Yeah.
how to do it themselves.
At the end of the event, you will
Yes.
have a little bottle with the liquid, with the herb. You will go home with it.
Right.
You will learn how to do it,
Right.
and that will be our contribution to their knowledge.
And
although the book is still in English.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're working on it. At least I got that book out. That was a big, it's all, everything is steps. It's steps,
exactly,
you know.
it's a process.
You know, I mean, I think also people are becoming more open to herbs. I mean, it is our history, but through our oppression, we kind of went back to, you know, just doing what everyone around us is doing. We need to regather that knowledge that
You're right.
that we have. We have it. I'm reintroducing old knowledge to the modern woman. So it's ancient wisdom for the modern woman. I'm not creating anything new.
We will say that it's ancient wisdom.
Yes.
There is no connection to Chinese, Japanese,
No.
Asian.
No.
There is
It's
no
our
connection.
heritage.
It's exactly. So we're talking about Jewish heritage,
Yes.
about that kind of herbs, no
Right.
connection to the Asian,
No.
no Japanese, no Chinese. No, it's not that.
No, I
to
mean,
make
we
it
all
sure.
share some of those
Yeah,
herbs.
some of them are, yeah.
Right. But it's so funny because if you go on my Instagram, Sara Chana S without an H, Sara Chana S on Instagram, I have little 1-minute videos. And whenever when I was on my 10-day trip in Israel, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a plant. Stop the bus. I've got to take a video. I'd be like, oh my gosh, here's wild jasmine. And what do we do with it? My husband was like, get back on the bus. Sara Chana, you can't do this. But I did it all over the place. It was amazing. I was looking on the ground, and it was really fun because when I was on the bus with the Birthright group, every place we went, Sfat, Haifa, anywhere,
Right.
I was picking literally things from the ground, and I would get on the bus, and as we were driving, I'd be like, look what's growing right here. And it was fascinating. It was really amazing.
So I have to tell
Sounds
you,
like you are the
We didn't
like
even
fairy of the herbs. The herb fairy.
the herbs princess. We didn't even have time or need to put even one song in our show.
This is
Like-
amazing.
And I can't sing. So there we got a big problem.
We didn't take a break. Like it was fascinating,
So
really.
you're preparing everything by yourself
Yes.
and by order as needed in advance, right?
What? Say that again.
You are preparing the essentials, the oil,
I don't do
Tinctures.
everything myself.
yes,
I
but you're
buy
taking care of-
pre-made things right now. Right. Some of my community keeps kosher, and then if it's kosher, that means it's vegetarian and vegan, and everybody likes that. So I find the top products that I trust. I mean, you're not going to buy your herbs at Walmart. That's for sure
Yeah,
not.
of course not.
You know, in the back of Moodtopia, I give a list because you
Yeah,
want to
so
make
that's
sure
enough.
Okay.
you want to make sure that a master herbalist like myself is overlooking the product to make sure it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, but we'll talk in December of things that women
Of the
can make on
workshop,
their
and we
own.
will be happy to have you again
Right.
next time you are in Los Angeles.
Amazing.
When you will come back from the frozen New York.
Yes.
We'll be happy to have you here. We will do the workshop
Amazing.
to our ladies in the Israeli community.
Great.
It's 3:00, guys. Unbelievable, but
Yeah.
time flies when you have fun.
Amazing.
Uh,
Great.
Probably we could have talked with her another hour.
I would like to hear more about your second book for herbs for children, and
We can do
news
that.
you're going to bring from Israel. You're saying February 5th.
Yes.
We can arrange
Yes,
and maybe book
definitely.
you as soon as you're going to be
Well, I'll
Definitely.
back
let you
from
know.
Israel and
Right.
from New York.
Definitely.
And we'll talk about it. Yeah, there's a lot to learn. I'm glad. We're just scratching the surface here. And, you know, a couple times learning with me, women know a lot. Like they walk away really having that strength that they need.
Although Sara Chana is two very
You're
common
very
names.
calming.
So Sara is
With everything. I have
S-A-R-A
to
without
say that.
H, and Chana is
Yeah.
C-H-A-N-A.
Yeah.
שרה
Sara.
חנה, מאוד פשוט, לא דאבלים ולא כלום ולא אייצ'ים. שרה חנה, מי שלא מוצא אותה, שיכנס לעמוד הפייסבוק שלי, החברה שלי בפייסוק.
And also
nice to follow
Instagram.
her Instagram and business page and whatever.
My regular page. Yeah, they
exactly.
can befriend me on Facebook also. But Instagram, what I love is because I can make that 1 minute video, and in 1 minute, who has time? In 1 minute, you're going to learn about an herb, how you use it, and where it grows. It's like, I never thought I would like Instagram at first. I was like, oh, but now I see it's a tool that I can really teach people more and more and more. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you,
Sarah,
ladies.
Hannah,
So
thank you
much.
very
Thank
much.
you so
This
much.
is so inspiring
It was
and
piece
give
of
us
knowledge.
some confidence. Right?
Piece of knowledge.
Piece of knowledge.
לגמרי.
Thank you guys, תודה רבה לכולם שהייתם איתנו לאורך השידור שלאגר שואו עם טליה פריאל, והאורחת המיוחדת במינה שלנו. שיהיה לכם יום נפלא. עד לפעם הבאה.
להתראות. ביי ביי.
3:34 בקרון האחרון.
The more you listen, the more you like.
LA Greek Hebrew Radio.